morning, and thank you for your attention. So today I will talk about sustainable connectivity and the One Asia community. Now you may ask, why sustainable connectivity? In the interest of time, I will just go through the presentation, and afterwards we can discuss more of what is the content that is presented. Now, sustainable connectivity permits sustainable connections and is the backbone to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. These sustainable connections are realized through collaboration, synergy, inclusive societies, relationships that are built from greater cross-border, people-to-people ties that permit more opportunities through education, greater engagement, and the formation of communities. If you notice in this phrase of these two important terms, sustainable and connectivity, when you separate each word and try to find a proper definition, you will see that first, sustainable can be a descriptive or formal term. As a descriptive term, sustainable means being able to continue over a period of time, or as a formal term in an environmental tense, causing little or no damage to the environment and therefore being able to continue for a long period of time, hence sustainability. On the other hand, the definition of connectivity in its simplest form means in a state of being connected. Using the Asia-Europe meeting's definition for connectivity, we find that it is a term related with bringing countries, people, and societies closer together, facilitate access, provide the means to foster deeper economic and, of course, people-to-people ties, the hard and softer aspects that include the physical and institutional, social, cultural linkages, fundamental to support the means to enhance the political security and socio-cultural ties between regions and territories. So first, looking at the word sustainable, converted to the formal term sustainability, the definition will be the ability to be maintained at a certain level or rate. One example of this definition would be the sustainability of economic growth. If sustainability is placed in an environmental tense, then the definition will be avoidance of the depletion of natural resources in order to maintain an ecological balance, or the pursuit of global sustainability. In today's presentation, I will show the three important pillars of sustainability, which are the social, economic, and environmental pillar, on which sustainability is supported and founded on. As a unit, these important pillars of sustainability translates to foster, support, and the foundation in the delivery of the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals needed to achieve global sustainability. So how does sustainable connectivity works? In looking at the first feature of sustainable connectivity, we see a barrier. We remove this, and one will see that sustainable connectivity removes the intra and inter barriers that exist in a tangible manner that are created either by the physical or artificial elements in society that prevents collaborations, sustainable connections between individuals. Because when we collaborate, share experience and ideas, connections are formed, and these barriers mentioned are ultimately erased. Research indicates that when a synergy exists between connectivity and sustainability, social sustainability is achieved within the short term between connected countries and societies. Moreover, this synergy, which is created in a simultaneous manner, as you can see cyclic, ensures that sustainable connectivity can potentially bridge gaps between countries, generate best practices in education through the establishment of institutional connectivity, which are unique and diverse, promote stronger social, economic, environmental, and financial sustainability pillars in Asian and European societies. This synergy can simultaneously reinforce the values of both sustainability and connectivity. This then ultimately allows the continuous materialization of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development to be achieved by the UN. For inclusive societies, the definition of sustainability garners the need for more critical thinking and the use of interdisciplinary approaches to the challenges to existing ideas about the way in which we learn, what we learn, and how we learn. Education for sustainability through sustainable connectivity ensures that the dignity of human rights of all people through the world is maintained, a commitment to social and economic justice, cultural diversity, with a responsibility to create a culture of tolerance, nonviolence, and peace. The rights of future generations with a commitment to ensure intergenerational responsibility, which is attainable and realized. Yet, how can this concept work for Asian countries? Here we see, let me just move a bit here. Here we see Asian countries are assembled according to 3 tiers. The countries that have accumulated experience in the practice of developmental education, those countries that have witnessed an increased awareness of varying degrees of implementation of environmental education, and those countries where the elimination of poverty and inequality are the topmost pressing challenges. With ESD connected with developmental issues, the diverse approaches to learning and how instructors educate and teach pupils will result in new productivity tools and information resources used in the dissemination of knowledge. Through ESD, we will see that new trends will develop and will significantly impact lifelong learning. Some of these trends you are already aware of and have become the game changer for our education through sustainable connectivity. These trends are quite remarkable. And just for reference, some of them are microlearning, virtual conferences, flipped classrooms, social learning, massive open online courses, open education, the empowered learner, self-publishing, and of course, big data. All of these have granted the possibility in this global learning economy to update, retool, rethink, and relearn when it comes to education. When it comes to partnerships, sustainable connectivity, collaborative partnerships are fostered, which are unrestricted geographically and easily forged, facilitated, accessible both physically and technologically. With the UN's SDG 4, 9, and 17 goals here, we will see that sustainable partnerships can result. The fact that these partnerships imprint and represent the social, economic, and civic interconnectedness actualities that exist, contain the components of today's best practical teaching tools, study abroad programs, internships, community engagement projects, global awareness, reciprocal cross-border learning environment and development, will result in a sense of belonging as well as an interconnected, community-oriented vision and consciousness, and other byproducts that result from these sustainable partnerships. Through technology, we see that sustainable connectivity fosters through the internet interconnectedness as well, access to quality learning, reorientation of education, skills building, exchanging of ideas, and of course, more people empowerment. We also see that organizations that consider entering into these long-term cross-border cooperation with educational institutions are now forging what is termed as a sustainable, connected, collaborative society. While connectivity is actively aiding to the realization of the UN SDGs from the Sustainable Partnerships Forge, you will see that the 17 goals also demonstrates that sustainable connectivity is measured by 2 indices. which are the Sustainability Index and the Connectivity Index. For the Connectivity Index, you will see that the main pillars supporting these features are the physical pillar, people-to-people pillar, the institutional pillar, the economic financial pillar, and the political pillars here. The physical permits connectivity to flow freely across borders. People-to-people are the social cultural exchanges forged through research, culture, education, tourism, and innovation. Institutional pertains to all institutions in societies that permit connections to be forged. Economic financial pillar are the inter-cross-border movement of goods, services, and human resources. And lastly, political are the policies, resolutions, and practices implemented. When it comes to the Sustainability Index, you will see that the UN SDG 8, 11, and 15 are incorporated here. It says that although sustainability is not really a new modern phenomenon, because Asia and Europe have always been connected through the spice and mercantile trade of the 14th century. Now we see that it has matured and flourished into inter-transcontinental global trading activities. When it comes to relationships, sustainable connectivity for the Asian community through relationships is mutually synergistically reinforcing sustainability and connectivity where the higher values are linked simultaneously. When it comes to leadership, these values permits equal opportunity for all to participate in decision-making process at all levels, access to transparent public information, sustainability of the community form is not compromised due to these activities, and shared resources and expertise through academia and research. When it comes to civic engagement through relationships, it means that the community is viable and operates as a non-governmental entity that respects and embraces tolerance and fosters an environment that inspires everyone to be and take responsibility based on a shared vision. When it comes to social welfare, the community ensures that a sense of belonging, self-worth, and social well-being is sustained. Constant stimulation of creativity through the arts is fostered. Protection of public spaces, resources, and artifacts. Environmental protection and flexibility in thinking and behavior. Access to all social amenities necessary to create crime-free and safe societies. When it comes to the economic security here, you will see that the community means that diverse, secure, and potentially access to meaningful employment opportunities for all individuals are created. It also means constant on-the-job training, lifelong education, and other lifelong learning opportunities that aid individuals to be adaptable to the changing work environment of this century. For the Asian community, it means that sustainable connectivity through relationships translates to a community that is unified, whole, and fully perceived as a unit with solidarity. It also means that engagement for Asian communities promotes greater inclusive societies that are strong in social capital, fosters transparency and knowledge sharing, a strong sense of community spirit, and high involvement in ecological and environmental protection initiatives in society, which are important. Through engagement, sustainable connectivity ensures that there is greater social sustainability and welfare, access to education, freedom of speech and press, inclusive and active minority groups, more presence of local and NGOs to support the institutions in societies, and less poverty and inequality. Sustainability also means, when looking at the UN Goal 11, you will see that it acts as a synergized link to connectivity and acts as the important policy benchmark for achieving the initiatives of the sustainable connected Asian community. It also means that when the characteristics of the community ensures that matching of local knowledge with global best practices, leadership, civic engagement with chief responsibility of bridging gaps between inter and intra geographical borders. It also means an established community that have generated commerce, culture, science, productivity, and social development, which have enabled their respective societies to advance progressively both socially and economically. These communities in themselves are very resilient and respond quickly to the challenges faced. They are very altruistic in nature and implement permanent equitable solutions towards the advancement of sustainability. In reference to SDG 4, 11, and 16, we will see that a sustainable community addresses the objectives raised for increasing quality in education, sustainable cities and communities, peace, justice, and stronger institutions in our societies. This emanates from the strong foundation already set, as well as the best practices adopted to enhance connections between educational institutions, governments, and other social partners in society that have a shared common vision and values for building global peace and security. Because sustainable connectivity is the way to create the future that we want for Asia and the rest of the world. When it comes to education for sustainability, it's very important because it will be the tool for generating the right attitudes, values, knowledge, and social skills, with the gradual shift towards the advancing of the key competencies for the realization of a more economically and socially sustainable society. Education for sustainable development is the new approach for fostering 21st century skills in individuals. It also means that these skills, which are essential for good leadership, the adoption of the right values for civic engagement and responsibility, knowledge, peace, and economic security, social skills that promote continuous social well-being. In a similar manner, sustainable connectivity has provided the EU with increased opportunities and choices. Effective use of our natural resources and more environmental preservation have been afforded to us through the adoption of sustainability. In addition to the promotion of social cohesion in our society, inclusion as a tool and key for creating the desired future that we want for the EU. In a similar manner, you will see that at the internal and external context, these communities, both Asian and the EU community, through education for sustainable development, provide more access to the research and academia tools and amenities needed for our societies. It also permits more active involvement of businesses, social partners, and government and policies implemented to further these initiatives. It also means that with Asia and the EU gaining prominence in the global economy, greater and more coherent methods of regional cooperation will become more important in understanding how to address the global economic issues that affect our respective regions. In applying a community-based vision at the global level, we could achieve the intergenerational responsibility of actively getting our youth involved in community-related exchanges or internships, or even understand and become more responsible for the future that we create in the present through the connections formed sustainably. Sustainable connectivity in real-world scenarios through prospective beneficiaries, which are us today, and the other actors, which include other socially based governmental organizations, NGOs, primary, secondary, and tertiary level institutions, community centers, and social partners. So it means everyone in our society. However, given the common feature of regional diversity that the EU and Asia shares, achieving successful collective leadership through the formation of a unified Asian community, similar to the EU, can be realized as the backbone for building a sustainable, connected One Asia. However, in predicting the institutions needed to achieve the long-term vision of this community is quite speculative and depend on many factors, and also the level of each institution in society, effectiveness for each member government in Asia that forms that community. Nonetheless, the long-term benefits of a sustainable, connected Asian community is one that, like I mentioned earlier, is poverty and conflict-free, strong and prosperous, and communicates through a common language, which is connectivity. Thank you everyone for your attention.